I'm excited. Can you tell? It's been a long time since I've made one of these. They are a ship model inside a glass bottle. They're actually a type of impossible bottle where you have something put inside a bottle which clearly is a lot bigger than the size of the mouth of the bottle itself. And no, you don't make them by cutting open the bottle and then gluing it back on. That's not the way it's done. You'll see in a short while how it's done. You'll figure it out soon enough. But yeah, I wanted to use my time in a lockdown to make one of these again. You can use any bottle you want. It's a standard drinks bottle, Blenders Pride, I believe. And I'll be making a model of the famous sailing vessel called Bluenose. If you're Canadian, you'd already know probably. In case you're not, it's called a gaff-rigged schooner. That's the way you name the vessel, depending on the layout of the masts and the sails. So the first thing I got to do is take some internal measurements of this diameter and then make a layout so that I'm sure that it fits inside the bottle A and B. Okay, I shouldn't give out the secret, but yeah, I also have to make sure that in its shrunken state, it fits inside the mouth of the bottle. Let's get started. Okay, so I've transferred my pattern onto a piece of wood over here, and I'm going to start cutting out all these pieces, extract the blank for the hull of the vessel over here, and once I've done that, I will go over and do some filing work and maybe a little bit of sanding to get to the final shape as this one. Let's see how it goes. I think I'm reasonably happy with that. Technically speaking, I would have gone rather with some kind of lacquer paint, but I have a 4-month-old in my house, so I cannot use organic solvents, and it takes forever to dry. So I'm just going to use uh, this acrylic paint, and I think it kind of scales well when compared to lacquers. Ideally, I would have used something like a toothpick to make the mask, but what can I do? I'm out of toothpicks, so I'm using mastics. It's really annoying because you have to round all these corners. But what you gotta do? Cannot just go out to a shop to buy one. I have to sanitize myself again once I come back home, so just go with this one. And each time you make these, you always compare the dimensions with the template or the design that you have made to ensure that you're on track. Okay guys, so after several minutes of video where I was not working within the frame and my big fat fingers were getting in the way of what I'm actually doing, I thought I'll do a quick recap of the progress done so far. So what you have here is the two masts which are now more or less complete. So that's actually the main mast, which is slightly taller, and I have stuck the ship down onto the board so that it's a little easier to work with. And this kind of also reveals the secret to making this impossible bottle. See, if you look closely, all these booms, let's say, are actually on a hinge or a wire stirrup. So if you want, you could in fact be able to fold these. Let me show it here. Oh yeah, see? So when you actually try to put this ship in a bottle, as you would have realized by now, the ship hull itself is small enough to fit through the mouth of the bottle. It's the masts that get in the way. But if you are able to fold the entire mast to a small enough profile, you'll be able to fit it through the mouth of the bottle. And that's exactly what we do. In fact, the bottom of the masts are actually not glued directly onto the deck over here. Again, it'll pass through a wire stirrup and a hinge, and it will actually fold flat on the deck itself, and basically that ensures no matter what happens, you can always shrink the ship down to a smaller size and then fit it into the bottle. That's the theory at least. Let's see how it goes. The sails are actually easy enough to make. You basically measure out the size of the sail that you have from the length of the masts. You can measure out with the scale. I use a slightly thicker sheet of paper, at least thicker than simple copy paper, and once you have the outline, you cut along the edges like so. And again, once again, you ensure that your size is correct. Yep, I can confirm that the size is indeed correct. I will also slightly alter this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and next what I do is, on a real sail you will have a bunch of seams and stitch lines. So I basically use an HB pencil to draw them out. There might be easier way, a better way of doing this, that's fine too, but this is what I do. And then what I do is, this is just a dilute solution of instant coffee, and I prefer my sails to have a slight brown stain. I believe it gives it a nice, what to say, a nice look. Okay, so my tiny model ship is ready. I know it's a tangled mess because you have these strings sticking out. I will explain to you why that is when I put this inside the bottle. But before I do that, I will put some blue, you can use plasticine, but this is actually a mixture of flour, copper sulfate and blue paint along with a little PVA glue to kind of make a stand-in for the water or the ocean. And you make logs of this stuff, put it inside the bottle and pack it down. You can use these tools which I have. You can use sticks, that will work just as well. I use the copper sulfate, by the way, so that the flour in here doesn't get moldy. I think you can use normal table salt as well, that works just as fine. Okay, so now is the time when I actually put my model shape inside my glass bottle. So I got to do a few things first. Before I can do that, I got to fold all my masts down, and so that the resultant diameter is small enough to pass through the mouth. You will also notice that I have not glued any of the strings to its final position. Most of the strings you will see, especially those coming from the bowsprit, are actually loose. So that's because once the ship is fully inside the bottle, I can stick it down to the bottom, and then if I pull these strings, in theory all the masts are upright themselves, and I will have a fully assembled model ship. Let's see how it goes, okay? Friends and followers, we have a ship in a bottle. That was so satisfying. Okay guys, let me try to explain exactly how this is done. So what I have here is the ship more or less fully erected, but as you can see, the boom for the foremast is still needs to be put in place, right? And the way to do that is see these strings sticking out, and I have identified exactly which string is connected to the main sheet of the boom. So if all goes well, I can gently pull on this main sheet and look, the boom comes into place. It's that easy, guys. The rest of the strings which I'm holding on my finger over here, those are all the 4 stays for the main mast and the foremast, which come all the way down from the bowsprit. And of course these are not attached, they are only fed through holes on the bowsprit. Now there's also a matter of holding everything in place. Temporarily what I do is I have this board where I pull this strings taut and wrap them around this doohickey, but that's only temporary. So what you do is you go around with a stick, like, where is it? Oh, there you go. With a stick of this sort, you put some glue at the end of the stick and put some dabs of glue on the bowsprit. Once you are done with that, you require something called a blade on a stick, which is this one. It's basically a very sharp razor stuck with tape at the end of a chopstick, and you reach around through the bottle of the mouth and gently snip off those extra bits of thread. I will try to capture me doing that on camera, but things doesn't always work out the way you want them to be, so I just wanted to clear that up before. So guys, I am really happy the way it turned out. I mean, if you are a professional artist who make these for a living, or a connoisseur more than me, you'll do a better job. But as an amateur, I am pretty happy with this. And here's the thing: these projects are they have a very low barrier to entry. What I mean by that is most of the tools that you saw me using, like these, I made this out of a coat hanger, so you don't need to buy a lot of tools. In fact, the only store-bought tools that I have over here is, which I used, would be a file, a knife, and a hacksaw, and that's it. So I mean, for the price of 200-300 bucks, you can make something that you can show off to other people, or something that you know enjoy doing. And that's the thing. We are in a lockdown, so we are being forced not to go out of the house much, even if we are allowed to. So I think these are times when we can definitely start a new hobby. This one, of course, is now finished. I decorated it last night with a Turk's head knot at the neck of the bottle. I think it really looks nice. Ideally, I cork these and seal these the old-fashioned way. That's with a length of rope and a sealing wax. However, I cannot do that right now because I gotta wait a few months for the ocean to dry up. The ocean to dry up. That's a nice sentence. Okay, so yeah, this thing is a mixture of flour, so it's wet. It needs some time to dry out, and once I'm certain that it's dry, I will cork it. But that's, as I said, a few months away. Okay, so we are all done here. Hopefully you have enjoyed my content. I'll see you again on my next video. Goodbye.